I am delighted to be down here starting a brand new series of tips with none other than former pro Ali Whitaker. It is so nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here. I'm looking forward to, ironing a couple of kinks out perhaps. Not that I'm suggesting you have any, because you look very well ironed.
Plenty of ironing to do. And I have to say, this is the first time we've ever been coached on Golfing World by a lady. So I think you're going to bring a real fresh perspective to this coaching malarkey.
Alternatively, that is the first time I've ever been called a lady. So fingers crossed we keep that up for the rest of the day.
I have to say, this is a bit of a tricky tee shot because for a man, I imagine they could probably cut the trees down by the left, but I just don't have that distance. So what kind of approach would you take on this shot?
Well, the first question I think you should always ask yourself is what your shot shape is, especially on dog legs, because that all of a sudden changes what club you should be hitting off the tee. If you're on a right to left par 4 and you fade the ball, automatically you're going to be hitting a different club to someone that draws the ball. So, first question, Anna, what is your predominant shot shape?
Predominant, I'd say a draw with a light sprinkling of shank, but ideally not that often. So generally a draw.
All right. You need to think about the average, fairway width is about 40 yards. For you, you'll have all of that 40 yards because you're a drawer. On a shot like this, when you've got all of the fairway, you're going to hit it 60% of the time. But if this is a dog leg round to the right, all of a sudden you're going to hit it 40%, 30% of the time. So you have to start thinking about giving yourself the percentage play. So, job well done.
Okay.
Off you go.
Yep. Excellent. Okay. So we're kind of just heading straight for the left bunker.
See, that's another kind of issue, isn't it? Because you can't miss this fairway left, because then you're blocked out. So in terms of line and giving yourself the best percentage play, I'd actually be aiming, if anything, towards the middle of the middle bunker.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. Distance-wise, I would have gone left bunker, but strategy and angle, right bunker.
Strategy is the name of the game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
Well, learning already. Okay. That was a nice drive, but with the old draw.
That is absolutely perfect.
Was it?
You are the best student I've ever had. Come on, let's go. Straight down this way.
That was
300 yards, onward.
Well, she's off. Tip 1, we've absolutely nailed it. Looks like I'm carrying the bags. Great.
Come on.
Yes, all right. I know you're a former pro. I absolutely nailed this drive thanks to your tips on course management and where to aim. So the proof is in the pudding already.
And no TV magic required.
Genuinely none.
That is, you absolutely crushed it off the tee, to be fair. So tip of the cap to you to begin with. But what we're going to talk about now is what club you think you've got.
Because I'm very much a visual golfer. I never have really known how far I hit my irons. So I would normally walk up to the ball, see how far I have, and just kind of feel the club that comes out the bag, which is probably the most unreliable way to play.
Field player, you call yourself, just a field player. I would say Bubba Watson, also a field player. I've never seen him walk up to a ball without a yardage. So this is something we can work on.
Okay.
So, I think it's the one thing that amateurs probably don't do enough of, and especially for those players that are really technical and they have like 10 swing thoughts, they love tinkering with their swing. This is something that they can really hone in on, and you can never do too much yardage control. And it's something you can do all the way through your bag. You can check it a couple times a year. But as a general rule, they think that they hit at different yardages than they really do. So it's all about carry, and that's what the pros look at, because different playing surfaces obviously bounce different ways as well. Like some release more, some release less. So thinking about your carry. Now, how far would you say that was?
See, that is a very good question. See, I would probably do it in reverse, and I'd say which club I would take, and then I'd probably from that decide the yardage. So, I'd probably need a hybrid here, so we're probably looking at 160, 170.
Okay. Now,
I don't know.
I'm going to give you the way to work this out.
The other way around.
Because I feel like, and it's good to have good depth perception with your eyes. That's actually something that better players, they can almost hone it down to about 3 yards. But it's nice to have a little confirmation, isn't it? Just, flip open the yardage book, grab out the laser, zap the pin, and then it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. So what you do is you go down to the range with your mate, with the TrackMan, with a flight scope, whatever you've got, and you hit 10 shots with each club. And then as you go, write down whether you hit them well, like well, medium, poor.
Yeah.
And then you essentially eliminate the 5 worst shots and then average out the 5 best shots.
Okay.
So it's something that you, as I said, you can never do too much of it, but I think it's really important to just understand how far you carry the ball, because a lot of people get up to a par 3, they're like, yeah, there's a little water on the left, probably about 120, that's like, 7 iron for some players, when in reality they should be hitting 5 or 6 for some of the ladies. So just working back from those numbers is really important.
Yeah.
So let's leave that. I reckon we just go straight to the range. I'll go get my baseball glove. You can hit balls at me. We'll work it out, and then we'll come back and you'll flush this one. Pretty decent strike.
Nice strike. Should have compensated a little on the left, but I think probably the right club.
Definitely the right club.
I would love to get you in this bunker because I'm having a lot of trouble at the moment. Into the sand, on the fairway. Hit a lovely drive, but then this could scupper the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think that's something that in particular drawers of the ball have trouble with. And I'm going to explain just like in very simple terms why that is. Because essentially, fairway bunker shots are much easier for people that come in steep.
Yeah.
So the fader of the ball.
Yeah.
A drawer of the ball. So if you think about a straight shot, if you came in with a neutral path, which is a straight shot every time, it would look like that. For you, because you're a drawer of the ball, you come in this way with a tendency of hitting the ground before the ball. So that's essentially why mainly drawers have issues, but I think we can sort it out for you.
That sounds great. And actually, I can already see how that is going to cause a problem if you do draw the ball.
Do you want me to rake that so you're not looking at
No, psychologically I'm done.
Play on, we're good. Okay, so the main thing that a lot of people do with fairway bunkers is they don't realise that your arms extend through the shot.
Okay.
It's what I like to call the elastic effect.
Right.
It's pretty technical, but essentially your arms extend in particular through impact.
Okay.
So what I actually do, and it sounds like a little amateurish, the way of thinking, but it's worked for me. Yeah. I'm a speaking your language. So what I always used to do was set up with the club above the ball.
Right.
Sounds ridiculous.
Okay.
But your arms always extend down to the ball. So instead of actually setting up normally to the ball with your club behind it, which is setting you up for a bit of a chunk, just take a normal swing with the club set up higher than the ball. I guarantee that your arms will extend. You won't top it.
Okay, that's quite interesting.
Just a little bit. Like, we're not talking feet here, okay?
No.
Don't take it too far, but just a little bit. So even if you want, you could start with, say, 3/4 of the way up the ball.
So you'd start like this?
Yep. Yeah. Now I'm going to show you a little trick. Again, a little bit amateur hour. And this is what we do, though. This is where all pros start, by understanding the loft of their club. The best way to do it. It's a little bit hard to do in the sand sometimes. I suggest you doing this outside the bunker, because you might get a penalty if you do this inside the bunker. But you put the club down, you get the club face until it looks about square, and that is the launch line of that club. So that looks like it's got plenty of room to get over that lip, doesn't it?
So you just step on this until it's flat on the ground?
The club face has to be flat.
Yeah, and that's the angle that the ball will come out.
Yep.
So actually, a 7-iron is more than enough to get out of this bunker.
Exactly.
Good tip, I really enjoyed that. Okay.
There we go.
So let's take a 7-iron.
That's why they pay me the small to medium dollars. There's your 7-iron.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to do the first tip again.
Okay.
Just hover it over the top instead of behind. And then aim straight out. Oh, lovely.
Came out with so much height.
Such a better
of
club
height.
choice. Yeah, because
gives you more
with
options.
a wedge, you're never really going to go anywhere, are you?
Well, you've just lost so much yardage on your next shot. I'd much rather have a wedge in when I'm trying to save par.
For many people, this can be a real area of insecurity and
Fear?
not much confidence. And fear is the word I'm looking for. But I know you've got a really nice exercise to relieve that.
Yeah, I think it's a really liberating concept to get your head around. Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
How long do you think the club is actually on the ball for on a chip? On the ground for it?
Well, I mean, you would think it just kind of slots in behind the ball, and so I'm going to say this.
So you reckon the club is on the ground for about, say, that far?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so we're going to do a little experiment, all right? I wish I had glasses and like a test tube to pull out. I don't. I've got my phone.
Okay.
If you don't believe me, do it yourself.
Right.
Okay, now I'm going to get you to hit just a normal chip. You don't even need to aim at anything.
Yeah.
But just normal, straight back, straight through chip. Perfect. Okay,
What are you about to unveil? That is the question.
Well, I'm going to show you. Now, I'm going to pull up the video that I just took. Mm-hmm. And then, as you can see, the club hits the ground here.
Yeah.
And then is still on the ground.
Wow.
6 inches past the ball.
My goodness.
So you've actually got about that far to hit a chip shot.
Yeah, you've got almost triple the time and space than I actually had anticipated.
So what does that mean? It means you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to hit the chip exactly where you think you need to. You actually have, provided you've got a pretty neutral chipping action,
Yeah.
you've got from here to here. And all of these wedges are designed to run along the ground. So everyone says, let the club do the work for you. Essentially what they're saying is, have a neutral chipping action, the ball and the club's just going to keep on skipping through into the ball. So you've got this far to hit a good chip shot.
Yeah, so
It's just something
really
good to get your mind around, I think.
so people at home need to take a little video down on the ground.
If they don't believe me,
if they don't believe
go and
us.
have a look.
And psychologically, as you say, that relieves you from so much pressure thinking that you have to connect right on the ball, because actually you've got more time than you think.
Yeah, and one of the things that I see a lot of, especially in amateur golf, is people not necessarily understanding, like they're weighting with their feet, particularly on shots like these. A lot of people come in, they have a lot of weight on the left-hand side, but I actually think they say to, you know, in theory to go with the slope.
Yeah.
One of the best drills I ever learned was this one, and it really transformed my chipping. So I know, it's because I had a tendency to be quite steep myself and come in and kind of dig into these uphill lies.
Right.
And that's just, it's so unpredictable because often the ball comes out low and spinning, which isn't really the kind of shot that you want.
Yeah.
And then everything changed. It was like an epiphany. And then I realised,
the sound of this.
I know. So I came into the ball and realised that I could actually almost play this ball, this shot with my left foot on my toe.
Okay.
Sounds silly. This is an extreme version, but what it did was it meant that I couldn't go on my left side and de-loft the club because I would fall over. And nobody wants to fall over while they're hitting a golf shot.
No.
So I literally come into it like this. All of my weight's on my right-hand side, obviously, because this is doing nothing. And what it does is it keeps the loft open on the golf club.
So what club do you have there, sorry?
Normally I would pick up like a lob wedge.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a point and hit this with my pitching wedge.
Okay, right.
Because I won't, like you'd look at it and you'd be like pitching wedge, bump and run club.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here's another option. Okay. In theory. So ball probably just inside your right toe. That toe on the ground, which is great for me because I'm a size 11, so it's a long way in the air. But then it's just,
Look at that.
and I kind of hooked that one a little bit, but still,
Yeah, I mean,
I've just hit a pitching
great
wedge lob
outcome.
shot in a way.
Because as you say, on this kind of lie, the odds of bottoming out too early is very likely, or thinning it. So actually getting that connection, it can be really hard.
It's just something almost conceptual that helps you just open up your options around the green in particular.
Okay, Ali, we're
All
gonna
right.
have a go.
It's your time to shine.
So,
Uphill lie.
nice little uphill lie, and we're going.
Now you can exaggerate it by putting your left toe down, or you can just kind of have that,
I'm gonna do
that
that.
concept if you want. It depends if you feel balanced enough.
So
It's
you
just
really,
a drill.
So you really want all your weight on that back foot.
If you have all of the weight on the back foot, then you, in theory, to a certain degree, can't de-loft the club.
Yeah, okay.
It'll help you keep the loft open through the ball.
Yeah. Ah,
You beat me.
that's a nice chip.
I'm going to leave soon if you're going to keep doing that.
So that just ensures that you're coming through at the right angle and you're not going to top it, it wipes out a lot of the stuff that can go wrong.
Well, it means that you're coming into the ball quite neutrally, and
Yeah.
that's the number one goal with chipping, is to have a neutral chipping action, because as soon as you start fiddling with where the club is, that's usually where the trouble comes
Yeah.
in. So
And on a downhill lie, you want all the weight on your front foot.
yeah, well, it's a relationship. So you don't
Yeah.
literally have to have your toe down for these. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting that people go and start playing on one leg, but I think especially on practice areas, just understanding the relationship between where your weight is on your right and left side and the loft of the club. You just hit a pitching wedge
Yeah.
on that shot to that distance.
It's impressive.
You know, it's just something to get your head around.
In a situation like this, just off the green, I would probably putt it purely for lack of confidence, but possibly not the best decision.
Well, you're kind of stuffed, aren't you? Because if you hit a pretty good shot, you're only 15 feet from the pin.
Yeah.
And you're in that lie.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be a bit peeved.
You would. It's a horrible lie. I've landed in a divot, and I don't know what to do from here, really.
Well, I'm going to give you two options, hence the two clubs, 1, 2.
I was going to ask what these are for.
Yeah, you're going to need both of them at different times. Now, there's two ways you can play a shot like this. One of them is using the toe of the club, which I really like, because what the toe does is, it's like that. You know when you pull a toothbrush out to clean things, because it just gets in all those nooks and crannies?
Yeah.
That's what the toe of the club does. It just fits right in there much better than the whole club does, right?
Okay.
Because that would just skip through. You probably end up blading the ball out of that lie.
Yeah.
But in this instance, so I'm going to toss my lob wedge down. I'll use that coming up next. But in this one, you stand up to the ball, you pop the little toe in behind it. Now you don't need a very wide stance at all, because you can stand pretty close to it. You want the club to be upright.
Yeah.
So ball slightly back in your stance.
Okay.
Your hands are going to be very high, and you're literally just going to move it straight back, straight forward.
So the ball is almost behind your back foot.
It's a long way back, only because I want to make sure, because it's a divot, that it does come down a little bit steep.
Yeah.
So, as I said, just let the toe of the club do all of the work getting into there for you. So not a lot of wrist movement. So from here, it's literally toe down, and it's just a small little movement back and forward.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And see, the club got in there and did all of the work and just pops the ball out. Now, when you look at that, you've got 5 feet left to try and save your par out of that lie.
Yeah.
I'd take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would often worry that if I catch the toe of my club, it's going to shoot out at an angle. But in this situation, when you're dealing with a divot, it's slightly different.
Yeah, it is a little bit. You have a tendency to start these right whenever you put the toe down. So you can aim a little bit left if you want, just to try and combat that. Depends what's happening on the green as well, and the slope of the green. Now, option number 2, behind door number 2.
Excellent.
There's another one that I like to call the intentional blade.
Ooh.
I mean, the whole thing behind it is the fact that the ball actually stays airborne for the first 2 or 3 feet. So even if you're putting, if you really hone in on things, you can see that the ball, whenever you putt it from off the green, it's actually airborne for half the time anyway. So what I like to do is, and it works from even good lies as well.
So this club is slightly more lofted.
This is a lob wedge.
Right.
You can use whatever feels comfortable. You could do this with an 8-iron if you like. It's not really about the loft. It's more about the leading edge and the weight of the club.
Okay.
But that's just a feel thing. So for me, I like playing it with a lob wedge. And then, again, it's almost like a little bit of a chip putt. So you could call it a chut or a pit, whichever way you would like it.
The intentional bladed chut.
Yeah, the chut.
I like it.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm going to do is try and hit the ball halfway up. It's going to pop up, and then it's going to trundle out to the pin.
Okay.
So. And again, it did start a little right, but I'd take uphill 3-4 feet for par any day out of that lie. So I'm going to take it now. I want to see you have a crack at this, all right?
Can't wait
batter
for
up.
this.
It's your turn.
This is really interesting though. I've never had specific tips for bad lies and divots around the green, because you can get yourself into a real mess.
It's just a mental thing where you go, all right, I've got 3 options. Which one works the best? And all of a sudden you're more relaxed over it because you know that you've got some stock shots to go to.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the 54.
Yeah, so we'll do the toe down.
So
it's almost like a little bunt.
So it's kind of behind my feet.
Yeah, now stand closer to the ball. So what you want to make sure that toe's sitting down. So it's going to feel quite unnatural, but you'll get used to it. So you want to be almost really on top of the ball. And then it's just straight back, straight through, a little bunt forward.
Wow. Oh yeah, look at that. That's really cool. Yeah. I've never seen that. I've never heard of that before, but that works really nicely. It feels really easy.
Yeah, it's just simple, because I think a lot of people get in divots and then they overthink it. They try to do too much to get out of it when, just let the toe of the club do all the work.
Yeah.
Gets in there, slots in there perfectly, and then just trot it on out.
Love that. Okay, next one. So this was this was a putt.
The half blade.
Half blade putt.
Yeah.
And that's kind of putting
the chut.
halfway.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
Yeah.
It's just kind of putting literally halfway up the ball.
Yes. So square club face.
Yeah.
Yep. And so square it up on the line that you think that, because you can almost read the putt from here as well. So you know that that's going to go a little left to right. So you can aim a little left with this.
Yeah.
Because it's like a putt. So then go halfway up the ball and then just back and through like a putting stroke.
Okay. was a bit of a chip.
It
Probably
well,
didn't quite get halfway.
It kind
up
of
the
popped
ball.
up, but again, you've got what 3 or 4 feet for par,
Yeah.
and that wasn't a good shot.
I'm
so
just going to have another little go at that.
you're allowed another go.
because that's still a really interesting concept, though.
Yeah. So back and through, halfway
Yeah.
up. There you go.
And there we go. Yeah, really, really simple tips here when you have a dodgy lie, because I wouldn't really know what to do out of this.
No, well, you just want to have a couple of options because,
Yeah.
you know, as I said, it just relaxes you when you know that you can play out of these and you've got a go-to shot. So all
Okay,
of a sudden,
good stuff.
got a couple up your sleeve.
Another couple of cracking tips from Ali there. If you find yourself just off the green with a horrible lie, take on these tips because they really do work.